are just in love with the idea of you. Today I'm going to talk about love or control, spotting narcissism in relationships. Are they really in love with you or just in love with control? I'm going to help you learn the red flags of a narcissistic relationship and how to break free. Now, I know we've heard it, we've talked about it, we've scoured the internet. But what we're going to do today is we're going to be able to talk about recognizing and escaping narcissism. Have you ever felt like your partner loved the idea of you more than really you? Like it was a disconnection. I want you to know that love should feel safe, supportive, and mutual. But in a relationship with a narcissist, it often feels one-sided, confusing, and emotionally draining. Narcissists don't love people. They love control, validation, and the image they project. Today, I'm going to share with you the key signs of a narcissistic love, real life examples, including my own story, and how to break free from toxic patterns and heal. Now, notice I said not to break away from toxic people, but I said toxic patterns. Because you have you have control over everything that you do. And all you need is to recognize it. So, narcissists don't form deep emotional connections. They just don't. Instead, they love in a way that serves them. So here are some signs. 1, they love bomb you at first. They overwhelm you with affection, sometimes gifts, and future plans early on. You're my soulmate. You're so beautiful. You're so lovely. You smell great. All of this stuff that you'll never meet. I'll never meet anyone like you. You're so different than everybody else. All these things, they love bomb you. And I think that's why, online relationships are so, successful. And I don't want to say successful in that way, but that they happen more often is because in the beginning, they love bomb the person who is probably broken or traumatically hurt, and they love bomb them to death. And they think that they get the reality that they're creating this illusion of a perfect relationship to hook people. That's the reality. Is that they're really creating an illusion of a perfect relationship. Second thing they do too is they love the idea of you, but not the real you. Hello, I can't say your name, but hello. For example, with my ex-husband, he loved the concept of being married to me. The image of having a wife, every time he was around somebody, they would say, "Oh, isn't your wife blah, blah, blah?" And he loved the fact of all of that, but he couldn't stay committed enough because it wasn't in him. But when it came to emotional support, partnership, or compromise, he wasn't present. He wasn't present. And so what's the reality of that? Narcissists want a partner who reflects well on them, not someone with real needs and emotions. And why do I say that? Celebrities do this all the time. We see this in celebrities, right? We see this, the power couples, or the trophy wife, or the trophy husband, or the trophy whomever. You see that. You see that all the time. People do that. That's a narcissistic relationship. Agreed upon or not, it's still narcissistic. Will they survive? Probably not. The toxicity would probably kill the both of them. Well, not the narcissist, but would kill the person who is really going into it thinking they have control over it. And they really don't. The narcissist has control. You don't. Hello, Orlando. How are you? Number 3, they lack genuine empathy. When you're upset, instead of comforting you, they make it about them. Why are you always so emotional? You're making me feel bad. I'm glad you're good, Orlando. You're making me feel bad. You're too emotional. Things like that. You're taking it out of context. It's not what it looked like. All those statements are really setting you up because they lack empathy about your position. Their position is the only position that matters. The reality is your feelings don't matter to them unless they impact their image or their comfort. So if you're doing something or acting a certain way that impacts their image, they're going to correct you. They're going to bring you subjection real quick. Okay? So just so you know, that's what a narcissist does. 4, they control through gaslighting. We've heard this word gaslighting a lot, right? Example of this is if you catch them lying, but they twist the story so much so that you end up apologizing. Or you ask them something so much so that they turn everything around and make like you did it and they really did it. So they control you by gaslighting, and gaslighting is making you question, did you really do that? Did you really do that? Or did you really see that? Right? 5, they devalue and discard you. At first, you were the best thing that ever happened to them. Later, they act irritated every time you come around. Everything you do, it bothers them. They may even start ignoring you or seeking validation somewhere else. They may say to you, well, since you're not going to listen to me, I'm going over blah, blah, blah. I'm going to hang out with my boys, or I'm going here, or I'm going there. I'm going to my mom's. Yeah, that's gaslighting you because you're not paying attention to them. Hi, Owen. Thank you for stopping by. So what's the reality? Once they feel that they've secured you in this position like a chessboard or game piece in their lives, they no longer need to maintain the illusion of love because they got you. They've mind swiped you, okay? They have hooked you line and sinker. So my story is when I realized that my ex-husband wasn't in love with me. He was really wanting control of me. I was married to someone who liked the idea, like I told you in the beginning, of, me being his wife, but not the reality of partnership. And in the beginning, he was charming, loving, and attentive, even to my children, and everything I thought I wanted. Listen to the word thought. But over time, I noticed a pattern. I had to sit down and really see that this was a pattern. He loved talking about how great we looked together and how great of a job that I'm doing, and because I was always in the paper for something or other, and he loved how to say that, and he loved how people admired us as a couple. But when I needed emotional support, he wasn't there. When I voiced my concerns and how he wasn't meeting those needs for me, he got defensive. He started blaming me, and he completely dismissed what I was feeling and actually got up and walked out and told me to figure it out. I felt unseen, unheard, and yet I still stayed, thinking that I could make a correction by suggesting that we go to counseling. And what do you think I heard? There's nothing wrong with me. There's something wrong with you. So, like a robot, I said, okay. And I went to counseling. I shouldn't have gone, but I guess it gave me a little bit more support, and I had more people to network with and be able to get out of the situation altogether. So even though I did that, I followed through and went to counseling by myself without him. I was able to use some of that information to be able to get out. I felt still unseen, but I was able to realize this one thing. I was able to realize that the version of him that I met in the beginning never really existed. It was all an act. And boy, was that heavy and was that hard. As nice looking as he was and as nice as he was, it was all an act to get me into his clutches or on his game table to make him look good, like an award or a trophy. He wanted that. So how do you break free? How do you break free from this and start to even begin to heal? How do you break free? Anyone have any suggestions? Please put it in the chat box. Let me know. How do you break free? I'll wait. Hi, Owen. Yes, my day's going well. Thank you so much for asking. Okay, no one has. Okay, here I go. Ready? So, how do I break free and heal? Number one, accept that they won't change. Yeah, that's heavy. Accept that they won't change. They're not going to change. No. I don't care what you do. You can't love them out of it. You can't teach them out of it. You can't counsel them out of it. You can't do anything. You can't even pray them out of it. Forget it. Accept that they won't change. The cycle of love bombing, devaluing yourself, and discarding you is a pattern. They don't suddenly become the version that they pretended to be in the beginning. They're not going to turn to that because it was all an act. Again, accept the fact that you were part of the plan, all right, to have control over. I got to have control because you are like a flower, like a beautiful flower, or maybe one of these certificates I have on the wall. You were one of those. And they said in their mind, everybody likes how she looks or he looks. I gotta have that person. And guess what? They end up with you, but they don't know what to do with you because it was all for them to look good. That's what a narcissist does. They have that cycle already in them. That's the way they survive. They have been on survival mode so long that they can't get off of it. They built up these mechanisms in their lives, in their subconscious, in their mind, in their behavior, in their wording. They built them to protect them and make them number one because they have not been number one in someone's life that was taking care of them. They weren't number one. So they had to ensure that everybody they played with from now on, that they had to be number one. Don't feel bad for me because I've healed from that. I'm good. Thank you, Owen, for loving me enough to say that. I appreciate that. So number two, detach from their approval. When I had told him that I was going to divorce him, he didn't believe me. He laughed at me, and he was actually in another woman's car when he laughed at me. Ha ha ha. Yes, sure. And when he received the papers, he came over with the papers in hand, and he was like, "You can't divorce me." And he started pushing everything off my dresser. And so I immediately called the police. And I followed through, but he left, of course, and I followed through. And the thing is, I followed through even to the point of going to court that very next day, taking off of work and going to the court the next day, going through with it. And I detached from his approval because in my brain of subconsciousness, from his love bombing, from his making me feel bad about everything, I started to feel, well, he's going to be mad about that. But I pushed through it and I said, I don't care anymore. I don't feel safe, don't feel comfortable. And I want him not to have control over me. So I went to the court, got the court, order of protection, and I followed through. He would call me, I would report him, and he would be back in court, and I did not stop or did not put my boundaries down. I wanted to feel safe and I wanted to feel that he didn't have control over me anymore. I had to break that. That's what I'm talking about today, is breaking that. You have to break that. You have to go and detach from their approval because it's in your subconscious. And that love bombing, that devalue mechanism he's or she has put in place is there. So you have to break that. So detach from their approval because narcissists thrive in control. If you don't stand and take control of your boundaries, they're laughing. And they're saying, I knew they weren't going to do it because I have control. And he said that to me. Oh, you're not going to go through with it. That's what he said smugly. Then I said, yeah, I am. And you know what he said to me? I'm not signing, so you're not getting a divorce. I was like, do you know who you're talking to? I'm half of a lawyer. I know that if you don't sign, you don't show up for court, I win by default. I didn't say it to him, but I knew it in my brain. All I said to him is, do you know who you're talking to? Oh, you're going to get one of your highfalutin friends to do that? I said, no, but you're not going to just have me on standby. So when you get sick or when something happens to you, you come back to me on autopilot. Doesn't work that way. No. So stand your ground. The moment you stop seeking their validation or don't care about their validation, you take away their power. And the third thing is what I think I'm saying now. Set boundaries and stick to them. Stick to these boundaries. Do not give in. Yes, there are going to be times that you might not feel safe because that's how I felt. But being transparent to people who are in your tribe can make sure that you are not left alone. That's the best thing I ever did. I did not change my routine, but I made sure that I let people know, hey, I was walking 5 miles a day every day in the morning. So I would let my neighbors know. I would let store people know. Yeah, I'm getting a divorce, just so you know, and people looked out for me. People literally looked out for me. They made sure I was safe. I would walk down the street and people would beep me, and I knew it was one of those people that, yay, I know her, but they were very on. I'll make sure that nothing happens. And I would go walk past these fishermen a lot too. I remember this, and they would say, hey, I didn't see you a couple of days. I was starting to get concerned. I said, no, I'm good. He said, okay, I just want to make sure that you're good. People start to work to look out for you when you set your boundaries and you tell those in your tribe or those that you trust or support you. Don't be afraid to tell them. You make sure you set those boundaries and say to them, and this is what's happening. And then don't over-explain yourself. What I said in the beginning is when I said to him, do you know who I am? And he's like, oh, you're going to get one of your friends. I didn't explain after that. Because they want control. Don't explain yourself to them. Oh, thank you. Oh, and I do deserve better. Thank you. And don't seek closure. I can't tell you how many times I tell women, do not seek closure. And I tell some men, don't seek closure. I have a couple that I was doing couples counseling with, and I knew that it was a bad situation. And they ended up separating, and I would, talk to them. And so he said, well, can you be around when we have a call? I said, no, you don't need to have closure. You need to take this situation and make it the best way you can. And he did. And he's so proud of himself. And he's like, yeah, because I didn't want to get in an argument. You don't, because you give them more room to take control. So don't seek closure, because guess what? They're not going to give it to you. The best response is no response, especially coming from a narcissist. 4, rebuild your self-worth. Your self-esteem is a contributor from outside, just so you know. That's people telling you great things or getting awards like that. People tell you the great things that makes you feel great, makes you feel like you're on the right road, or you're in, you're in the vein of your purpose or your journey, right? But self-worth is that thing that you felt when you were 5 years old and you fell off your bike and you hurt your leg and you said to your mom, I hurt myself, and you're crying, but then you get back on that bike because you know you can do it. That's what self-worth is. It's what you believe about yourself that nobody can change. Not your parents, not leaders, not anybody. That you know who you are. Yeah, it took me a long time to get that back. But I won't be swayed. I won't, not be convinced that I'm something different. Even if I make mistakes, so what? So who cares? I know I'm doing a great job, even in my imperfections. So that's what self-worth is. Narcissist loves to make you question your reality, not theirs, your reality. Reconnect with yourself, your passions, and have healthy relationships. But you can't have healthy relationships when you still have this junk from that relationship, because it becomes the backpack. So don't seek to go into other relationships right away until you invest some time in healing yourself and not believing the junk that was said to you, not believing who you are and your reality, not believing in yourself, not trusting yourself. So don't move forward. Don't get involved. Get involved with loving on yourself. Get involved with taking care of yourself. Get involved with the inner work that needs to be done, right? And the last thing is seek a therapist. Seek support networks or even a life coach to help yourself. Heal that narcissistic belief that is in your subconscious, right? Because narcissistic relationships aren't just about leaving. Just because you leave doesn't mean it's over. They've done so much damage that you would be surprised. And then you would say to yourself, why come I keep drawing the same type of guy? Because you're building up, you get all this stuff and you're creating magnets, all this stuff is still on you. To get it all off of you so you're free to love, free to have a healthy relationship, free to make great decisions, free will. You're unlearning all that emotional conditioning, because that's what it is, emotional conditioning. Taking your emotions, manipulating the way that they wanted them to serve their purposes, right? So make sure that you're getting the support that you need in your networks, with therapy, even with a coach to help you move forward. Recognize and move forward, okay? So what's the key takeaways for today? A narcissist doesn't love you. They love controlling you. Real love is mutual, respectful, and supportive. So my question to you, have you ever been in a relationship where you felt invisible? How'd you feel? Probably invisible, right? I know you're going to say that. Listen, if this resonates with you, connect with me and let's talk about it. Let's have it. Let's talk about healing and getting your self worth back. Click the link in my bio or visit me at www.ednawhite.com, and I'll be able to give you some supports. And actually, if you're interested in coaching, I'll be there for you. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next time around. Bye for now.